Hi everybody, I've been playing Dragon's Dogma 2 and I wanted to talk about it for a bit. So Dragon's Dogma 2 is the sequel to Dragon's Dogma that I never played. I never played the original Dragon's Dogma as I purchased it when I was a child, the controls were weird and I was like, yeah, no thank you. I should probably go back to it as it is a cult classic. Dragon's Dogma 2 is a game that got me really excited because it hits on like the one thing I absolutely adore, being really big scale boss fights. The bigger, the better. And the fact that you have like this little group, you have your little fellowship, your three companions, makes it even cooler to me. Because I love the idea of the camaraderie that you see, like, you have like this group of four people, taking down these giant monsters. That to me is cool. So Dragon's Dogma 2 was right up my alley. And I got it, and I have some problems with it. Firstly, I want to just address the obvious things that the game has with it that everybody knows. For one, it's $70, it's a quadruple A game. I don't think there is anything within Dragon's Dogma 2 that justifies that price, if I'm being completely honest. The world, while yes, is huge and beautiful, is also extremely laggy, and oftentimes suffers from reskinned enemies. By my 50th hour, I think I have killed at least 100 different trolls, basically all being the same troll, just in different locations. I killed enough dragons to the point where it didn't feel fun anymore, it was just another fight. And it was kind of alright-ish. Because you see, the best thing about Dragon's Dogma 2 is by far its boss fights. I am in love with them. I love the big scale boss fights, like I said, and the issue here is that oftentimes they get reskinned and put in multiple other places, and it kind of ruins them by the end because, by the 50th, 60th time you've killed the same troll, you're kind of like, I don't want to do this anymore. All the golems, God forbid them, I hate their weak points, fuck them. And here is the thing. If that was the only thing, I wouldn't have been this aggressive about it, but the fact of the matter is they have this DRM, I think it's called the Nouveau, which essentially, if you're a PC user, goes in, and I can't explain it technical, I'm not smart enough at that, but it just really messes with your PC and oftentimes causes performance issues for the game. And I think a large amount of the performance issues might honestly lay within the DRM, which is really, really bad, obviously. And this game is not worth the $70 just to get it out of the way immediately. However, I don't like to focus on just the negative, so let's get into a little bit about Dragon's Dogma 2. Dragon's Dogma 2, while yes, it does have some issues, also have many things that I really love about it. One of the big things I found myself loving about Dragon's Dogma is very simply its world. It is beautiful and immersive. It is such a pretty world to explore that oftentimes I get completely lost in it, or that is what I would say. If I didn't get cut off by any walking NPC, literally all of them talk to me for some reason, and I have no idea why. Initially I thought it was because I was using the same button to run with that I was for interactions, but they just did it anyway. After every other fight, I'd get stopped by some NPC who were hire me, please. And honestly, by the end, it just got really fucking annoying. However, when I call them NPCs, they're actually called pawns in the game. Pawns are your side character that you create one of that other people also create one of. And the pawns that you hire are essentially other people's pawns, where they remember their quests. So if they've been on a bunch of quests with other people, then they can guide you through those quests or treasures around the map, which it has to be said is a really dope system. That is so cool. It adds a layer of interactivity between players that I rarely see in games, right? I think the closest is the messaging system from Dark Souls, which admittedly is really fun and I honestly like it more. But it's sort of like that, but for NPCs that just won't ever stop talking. And I'm not gonna lie, after I've heard the same voice lines the first 50 times, I don't need to hear another 50. We are at the point where I feel like some of those NPCs were talking so much I kind of wanted to just throw them away. I think like I said, Dragon's Dogma 2's world is one of its best parts. I really like how it's strewn together. The fact that you can get everywhere before really doing any quests and all the ways that you like interact with the world, I think it's really dope. That being said, I also think Dragon's Dogma 2's world is also one of the elements that is undercut by the rest of the game. Because I am not gonna lie, this world does not feel lived in, real, or immersive. Despite what I just said, despite how beautiful it is and how the rendering distance is gorgeous, and you can see all of these things that are pretty graphics up the butt, it's great. The thing is, you kill, and I shit you not, the same enemy at the very least 100 times from time to time, right? Like, some of those were everywhere. And I don't have an issue with reskin things. I mean, I'm a Destiny player. I'm kind of used to that shit. But at the same time, I do feel like it kind of undercuts the world. And like I mentioned, NPCs constantly cut you off. The game's quests go from being a little bit fun and a little bit interesting, to be honest, to being outright awful. I think I really, really, really liked some of the side quests for a NPC called Sven that can be fairly early on. I think, despite them not being the most interesting ones, I just think the story in them are kind of cute. And like, it seems that that's the way the story is told. It's kind of like Skyrim in that regard, in the sense that, yeah, the story in the game isn't that great, but the side stories though are. And I think that is, at the end of the day, something that we should consider a positive, because obviously, while yes, it does mean that the main story is slightly worse, it means that the world can end up feeling slightly more lived in. Unfortunately, in Dragon's Dogma 2's case, that is undercut, I feel like, by a just really empty world, I'd say. Because here's the thing, there is no direct fast traveling. Well, not super directly anyway. There is the port town stone system, which essentially you put down these stones and then teleport to. Which sounds like a fast traveling system, but you need an item to use it, which at least early game you won't have a lot of. Now, there are ways to get a lot of them, and that is farming, just mindlessly farming, which I am not gonna, I'm not the hugest fan of. And on top of that, there's a simple issue where you take the ox cart around, which is a system where it's kind of like a taxi ride. You can sleep and then you'll get attacked. And then this fucking ox cart that you have paid your hard-earned in-game money for. You've been grinding those quests out, you've been slaying those monsters, and then it gets attacked by the same like mob that you just killed a million of in one shot. And you are sitting there like, I just paid for this. Now, they are cheap, so it's not that big of a deal. It's just mildly annoying, that's all. And I think this is like what I have to say about a lot of this game. It's like mildly annoying. I mentioned the golems earlier. Now, if you've thought of golem, I'm not sure if I'm the only one who has that perception of them, but I think they're really annoying. They're enemies who can only take damage from certain spots on their body, one of them being underneath its foot. Now, I haven't seen a whole lot of ways to attack it. I was playing Magic Archer most of my time. And when I wasn't playing Magic Archer, I was playing the Warrior class. Class. Which is kind of maybe at the same time my fault, but at the same time I do feel like every class should be able to deal with that shit like in a good way, and I don't feel like they are. Now, that could just be a skill issue, or maybe there's some fucking game mechanic I don't see. I don't think that undercuts the point that the fact of the matter is even if you remove that, they are still reskinned a million times. Which one of them I can accept. 40 though? Isn't that a bit much? Maybe? And here's the thing. Dragon's Dogma 2 is a cool game. It does have some really, really cool elements. Some of the stories, like some of the side stories, just have permanent like twists to them and so on. And one of my favorite quests in the game, actually, up until a certain point that I never finished because I fucked one part of it up, was the Sphinx quest, where essentially you have to solve these riddles for a Sphinx that can then give you some really, really, really strong items, like infinite HP. That's all strong, right? And it's a really, really cool little quest, little side thing that you can do. and it takes forever to do, but the rewards are really worth it. However, there is one specific thing within that where you have to find this token, and this token is placed at a point in the world where you picked up the first seeker token. Now that could be whatever for whoever, right? Because while they do have set spawn locations, it's not sure that you pick the same one of those 220 tokens up, the same first one that I did. And here's the thing with that. That is such a cruel thing, because while yes, there is one that you are exponentially more likely to have stumbled upon by pure accident than others, is at the same time, why? Like, why would you do that? What about the one person who didn't pick that up and who now has to wander the entire fucking world by it? I am not a fan of that at all. I don't like it. I don't think it's good. I think yeah, it's a challenge, but it's a lazy one. It's one that everybody could have done. Like, yeah, I can also make my game hard by being like, oh yeah, that item that you picked up 50 hours ago, that specific item that you didn't really think about too much afterwards because you've already picked up a lot of shit. Yeah, find that specific spot. Now, if it wasn't for the fact that I was recording footage for this video, I don't think I would have ever found mine, despite the fact that I picked it up in the normal startup location that a lot of other people did. And then, if you fail any of these riddles, at least on the second phase of it, the Sphinx just leaves and you can't continue the quest as far as I know. And I do find that while some people probably find it annoying, I find it kind of interesting because they also autosave the game. So you have to live with that. That is your choice. You fucked it up and now you have to live with it. And I don't mind that. I think that's a fairly cool way to end a quest if you fuck it up. And at the same time, there's the arrow of unmaking, which is one arrow, you get one of them per new game, game cycles, right? And you can use them on any boss that you want, and it one-shots that boss. Now the caveat is, the game autosaves when you use it. So if you use that for fun, if you use it as a joke, like just kill some random character, that is essentially a one-shot tool gone, disappeared, obliterated from your arsenal. And I have seen some people get a little bit mad about it, they know. But I think it's kind of funny. I think that's kind of cool as well. And there are a lot of small things that Dragon's Dogma 2 that does, legitimately make the game feel kind of unique and cool. And it does have some things like that, but at the same time, there's all this other shit, like reskin enemies, areas, a lot of cave systems that just look the same, with slightly different pathways through, and a lot of reused bosses. And it becomes this thing of, I like some of it, but god, there's so much awful here as well. Now, one thing the game does really, really, really well, in my opinion, and where the game, in my opinion, became a lot more fun, is after beating the final boss, there's a way you can get to the Undying World, I think it's called Undying World, something like that, right? And it's essentially this other realm where there's an extra story after completed the final boss, quote unquote, of the game, where you need to save the world and you need to kill all these enemies and stuff like that. And it's a pretty cool twist where they changed the entire world map, give it a new texture, a couple of things like that, and essentially make every enemy much harder. Now, I would have been much, much more positive about that if at the very least two of the bosses wasn't just copy-paste fodder. Why? Then the very least just made that part really interesting. Because here's the thing. These are interesting bosses. They do have really unique mechanics that no other boss in the game has had up until that point. But it just feels so boring and predictable. I've just killed this dragon twice. And somehow, despite all of what I've just described, I still have fun with Dragon's Dogma 2. I still genuinely enjoy my time with the game. Because I don't believe Dragon's Dogma 2 is bad. Let me explain. I don't think this game is bad in the sense that it runs smooth and it has one of the most unique class systems I have ever seen, just straight up. It is so cool. So the way it works is that you have all these different classes, which you need to honor through quests. You start out with I think it's 4 basic. You have your rogue, you have your archer, you have your warrior, you have your sorcerer. Then the sorcerer can eventually become a mage, and the warrior, shield and sword guy can become a big sword man, and so on and so forth. But you also have completely new classes, such as the Magic Spear Hand, which is like this teleporting, spear wielding chat that will teleport in and stab and float and everything like that. And then you have the War Master, which can use all of them, and you have things like the Magic Archer, which essentially is a archer, but you have aim hacks and you shoot like multiple arrows, and that's where the game actually feels kind of fun once you start to unlock those, in my opinion. That does change up how the game is played a lot, and in a very, very positive way, because all of these have unique skills, unique unlockables, and unique equipment. And I have to admit, I really, really like the system. We need more of that in general game, and you can swap them all on the fly. There's nothing where it's like, oh, you're locked into playing this one thing. That Dragon's Dogma 2 does so well. I also think the combat is in general satisfying. I really do. I think it feels good. I think once you understand how to use the skills and like you've gotten into like the controls, because I thought it would be a Souls-like, which it wasn't, then I feel like it does play really, really well. I think once you start to think about like a lot of the puzzles and the way that the game sort of works, they also start to make a lot more sense. On top of that, like the biggest praise I can give it, period, is that I absolutely found myself kind of just becoming completely immersed once I was like in a fight. I entered that flow state that only games like Dark Souls really has made me enter. I was like, okay, I need to avoid this attack, then I need to attack. But my issue here, the reason why I can't really recommend it is one, it's $70, and two, that happened so late for me that I really can't be like, this was a positive thing at all. It happened like in my last, like latter half of the game, and I already spent at that point 30, almost 40 hours being kind of just on it. It's an alright game. It really is. It's not bad. But I definitely wouldn't recommend it, especially not considering the DRM and, well, obviously also the price. That being said, I do understand that there are a lot of people who are hungry for the exact same thing that I am, which is like these big scale boss fights, and Dragon's Dogma does have them. The issue is just that they're copy-pasted a lot of the time, which is a shame. However, I do find them to be genuinely interesting. And I do find Dragon's Dogma 2 to be a genuinely alright game that I'll probably buy on sale for like $40 and have a great time with it. But at full price at $70, even $60, this is a hard sell for me. That being said, this has been the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe. This has been a slightly shorter one. My life has become slightly hectic as of late. I hope to go back to make a little bit longer videos after this. The next video will most likely be about Destiny 2 Into the Light, and after that, Death Trash, which is an indie game. And after that, I'm gonna see if I can get something out on, Sekiro maybe, if I get to that at that point. Otherwise, I do have other plans for videos. So like Death Out is still a very, very big maybe. But next time I'm uploading, I do want it to be about Destiny. It should be around Pantheon release time. And I want it to be about the future of the game that I care so much about. So, with that being said, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Do the YouTube stuff, you know how it works. Now that I've done my round of begging, I do want to just tell you all that I appreciate you a lot being here, sharing this moment with me. I genuinely enjoy making these videos, and right now I am very tired. It is almost 1 a.m. and I haven't slept a lot, so I'm gonna go to sleep. If you are up at this hour as well, I suggest you do that too. And if not, just have a wonderful day. And if you don't go to bed and you're up at night, have a wonderful night. I'll see you all later. Bye.